Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this month's workshop. For those of you who are an AI Authority Insider, you know that every month we do a special, brand new AI workshop. Now, this month, I'm circling back to a previous workshop with a different title simply because I feel like there's been a lot of shifts in the space. There's been a lot of new tools, new improvements, and more, I think even more specifically, maybe that's a better way of saying it, there's a lot more use cases now for the concept of the faceless videos. So I'm excited, really super excited actually, to share some of the things that I've learned through research, and then some of the things that I put together for this workshop. Because I feel like there's so many, now whether this is you or not, I don't know, but there is absolutely so many that, don't want to get in front of the camera. It's like today, I'm like, man, I have a really bad hair day. I'm like, I really wish nobody was going to see me, but y'all get yeah, sorry, you just have to work through it. But you know how it goes. Like, you get up some mornings and you're like, I don't want to do my hair and my makeup just so I can create content. So traditionally that's been our vibe, and it's been hard for a lot of people to get around that. So I feel like this gives people an opportunity that they didn't previously have, simply because this is now kind of like the popular content. And people are just totally rocking it with this type of content. So I'm excited, like I say, to share this with you. A couple of quick things we do, like every month we have, obviously we have the content itself, but we also have workbooks. So we'll have a workbook for this workshop as well. We'll drop it in the comments. We'll also make sure that it's in the school community so that you have access to it. And I would encourage you to open it up, print it off, make notes, whatever makes sense for you. But definitely you'll want to leverage that workbook, because I think it'll make a lot of this kind of pull it all together, I guess, is the best way I can think to say it. So, all right. So there is that. Also, as always, we are here for you. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. If you run into a stumbling block and you're like, I'm just not sure what to do here, please, please, please ask. I know that, the whole AI space can be a little overwhelming sometimes. So we want to make sure that we're here for you. I'm knee deep in this AI stuff literally on the daily. So if there's anything that I can help with, don't hesitate to ask. So, all right, so let's go ahead and we're going to dig in. I'm going to open up the presentation. I want to go through some things that I think you need to know before we go into ChatGPT and the tools that I'm going to recommend. And we're going to walk you through a few tools that actually create faceless video very quickly, very easily, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure this stuff out. So I've got a ton of things for you today. So just buckle up. If you have a pen and pad or that workbook that I mentioned before, just make sure you follow along. All right, so let's dig in here. Let me get over to the right screen and we'll get after it. So some things that I want you to walk away with today. I feel like a lot of times you think, oh my gosh, I have to have a niche, or hey, I have to stick to the niche I'm in. And I don't think that that's necessarily true. If you wanted to create a revenue stream that is totally different than anything that you're already doing, that's one use case. Or, hey, I'm just bored with what I've been doing. I'd like to do something different. Use case number two. Or you could potentially, for some of you, you'll definitely want to do this. You just want to twist on what you're already doing, a better way to create content faster. So there's lots of variations of what you're going to walk away with as it relates to that niche today. Like, what makes sense for you wherever you are in your journey right now. And then we're going to talk about how you create those high converting video scripts and the complete AI faceless or avatar tool setup, what tools do I recommend? And then, walking you through how you actually use them. And then I'm always about why create content if there's not a revenue stream attached to it. So we're going to talk about that as well. But my big promise is you can absolutely build a six-figure content business without ever showing your face. And there would have been a time when I would have said that's not true. So this is a fascinating shift for sure. And like I said, it's kind of an exciting one, honestly. So let's talk about why faceless content is winning. This is some fascinating stats. 67% higher profit margins. So faceless content creators are just really rocking it. And part of that is because they can do more content faster. With AI, there's been the ability to scale content in ways that we haven't been able to do before. But they also report, less creator burnout by 340%. Again, that makes so much sense because traditionally we've struggled a little bit, like to do all the things, right? Content is a bear and has been a bear. So the ability to create content faster and at scale, all right, I'm in, right? And then 83% higher life satisfaction. Again, this goes back to a lot of things, actually. It could be the fact that we're actually able to create content faster, better content, and potentially even without sharing our face. And for a lot of people, that's a big deal. And then, of course, the annual earnings have really that's been ascribed to faceless content is pretty staggering as well. So, top 10% of content creators are earning top 10 earn this much over a six-figure revenue stream with under 50K followers. I mean, it's like stunning. You start a faceless content channel, and you don't need huge numbers in order to create a six-figure revenue stream. Again, pretty stunning, right? So while everyone else is burning out, trying to be authentic and vulnerable, and all the other words that we toss around, there's a lot of smart creators that are building literally empires from behind the scenes with faceless content. It's an incredible shift in how we've traditionally thought of content, specifically video content. So the reality, though, is this. From a personal branding perspective, I've built a personal brand. So, there's a lot of pressure to constantly be on. And it can be super exhausting. I mean, I talked about this when we first started today, where makeup and wardrobe and, all the things, you feel like you have to be on and look good all the time. And it can be a lot. And then, of course, there's also the privacy concerns. I know my husband in particular has always been so weirded out that I'm, so out there. And then you have the trolls commenting on your appearance. That used to be a really big thing with Periscope in the early days. It's not as bad. Well, maybe I'm just not seeing it as much. I think it still happens for sure. But it's burnout from being the face and the brain can be a real thing. And I'll just speak for myself. It absolutely has been a huge, huge issue for me. And it's one of the reasons I've really stepped back from, being the face, putting myself out there and creating content all the time, because I've just gotten not a little bit burnout, maybe a lot burnout. So the shift, though, is this, and this is a fascinating dichotomy, I think, is, in the past, our value has been associated with being the face of the brand. But what if your value is the content that you create is the value that you create in the content, and it's more important than your face? So I think that is an amazing shift. And I think for a lot of people who take advantage of it, it's going to be a life changer, to say, okay, if I can just show up and share, content without people seeing me, yeah, I'm there. I'm about that. So now I know there is a lot of small text here. So I'm really not going to dig into every one of these, but I wanted to highlight a few of the core things here. Brightside is got about these are all faceless content channels. So Brightside, they have 44 million subscribers. That's pretty stunning. Their ad revenue is obviously pretty high, 23 to 75K on the month. And it's educational content. That's incredible. And then you got Mr. Nightmare with 6 million subscribers. This is more of a scary niche. Monthly revenue is anywhere from 15K to 40K. I'm having trouble reading the screen myself. And then we've got the Improvement Pill. That's a productivity channel. Again, super focused, but they've built a 7-figure business without showing their face. And then we have Big Company. It's in-depth business documentaries, 500,000 subscribers in under 18 months, all with faceless content. And they, of course, have figured out how to monetize it. So just fascinating examples. And these are just a few. I mean, I found use case after use case, example after example of people who have created faceless channels and are just totally rocking it. But the common thread among all of these faceless creators that I found is their unwavering commitment to delivering just amazing value wrapped in engaging, high quality content. But they're doing it with AI primarily because it allows them to create content at scale and really over deliver when it comes to the value. So when the message is so rich and so compelling, the missing face becomes completely irrelevant, which I find just fascinating. It goes back to the fact that people just want good stuff. They want good content. And I feel like we can overcome the great content without having, the personality behind it, which there would have been a time I would have said that was never going to happen. It just goes to show that there's ebb and flow in the marketing space for sure. Things that I would have said, yeah, that's not going to work. Sometimes they do. Or, things that have traditionally worked. Sometimes those are replaced by new and better things. So interesting shifts here for sure. But let's talk about the 3 pillars of faceless success. It's value first, 100%. And then you have to be consistent. You obviously, we all know this, right? Consistency is probably, even though without the value first, the content piece, you can't be consistent. But consistency, I would argue, is probably just as important as almost anything else. If you're going to show up, you need to show up consistently, not sporadically. And then a little bit of strategic mystery. This is kind of the psychology of authority, a little bit of mystery, which, by the way, I have built into the GPT that I'm going to give you. So you don't have to necessarily figure all those pieces out. I think I've got you. All right. But people really do trust expertise over personality. So if you can lead with value, be consistent with it, and really show up with true expertise, this is kind of the pillars, if you will, of successful content or successful faceless content. But as I said before, I'm always about all right, if you're going to do something, where's the money? If you're going back to the content piece, I think so often, and I was guilty of this in the early days of creating content for content's sake. And I really didn't have a whole lot of strategy around creating the revenue off of the back of the content. But I'm going to share these 5 strategies with you, and these are proven with the data to back them up. So now, again, there's a little bit of small print here. I will give you guys these slides in a PDF format so that you have this and you can review it if you want, because there's some really good data here. But the Make Money Online and Personal Finance is one of an amazing channel niche opportunity. And it is generating, on a CPM basis, $12 to $13.50. It's one of the higher CPMs on YouTube. So it is absolutely a pretty hot niche, if you will. So that could be one of your, I mean, again, you may not, and this is the fascinating part, you may not be a financial guru, but with AI today, there is so many opportunities for you to show up with a knowledge base that you don't have to know. I mean, as long as the content is quality and it's something people want, you can research this stuff, by the way, then you can actually show up with really great, valuable content. You do have to do a little more research. You do have to bring it, but this is a niche that's very high, is very much in demand and does pay out well. Another is technology and gadget reviews. And again, these CPMs are primarily based off of YouTube views, but I'm going to talk about other revenue streams. So don't get so locked into just the CPM because this is just the tip of the iceberg. But technology and gadget reviews are super popular and very lucrative if you decide to go into them. Again, there's all kinds of just like I'll call it ways that you can capitalize on this. Educational content and tutorials. And for most of us, I'm going to speak randomly and generically. There you go, generically. For me, for example, the educational content and the tutorials is absolutely my lane. I would argue that for many of you, potentially the same. You have your area of expertise. You've been either teaching others what you know, or you've been selling your expertise in other ways. So this is a way for you to capitalize on that by existing content, or I'm sorry, it could be existing content or it could be existing expertise. And then horror and mystery stories. This is a fascinating, I would call this maybe an opportunity for a new niche or another revenue stream, if this makes sense for you. Like this is something that like, oh my gosh, I'm so fascinated by this. I would love to do something like this. Interesting niche, but there is absolutely a need for it, and evidently a big demand for it as well, which is kind of interesting, but it is one of the top rated no face content themes out there today. Interesting, right? And then the health, fitness, and wellness. And again, this could be divvied up into so many ways. I mean, you could, from a health perspective or fitness or wellness, I mean, I know a lot of you do have this expertise. So being able to like niche down within these categories is also another way to like really nail content. And again, content that people really want. And I think this is one of those opportunities. Like, for example, I was just talking to one of my clients earlier. She is a gut health expert. She's a dietitian, but she she really is focused on gut health, and so she could create a whole channel on just educating people around her expertise. So this is kind of a combination of the education as well as the health, fitness, and wellness. So let me take just a quick sip right quick so that I don't end up having a coughing fit on y'all. So, but let's, I'm going to call this the gold mine, the 5-minute gold mine, or 5 minute, sorry, the 5-minute gold mine test. So run over to YouTube and, search for your niche plus Faceless and see what comes up. Check if the top videos have SK views, read the comments. Are people asking questions and engaging? And then also check Social Blade. I mentioned before that I'm going to give these are clickable links, so you don't worry about trying to write everything down. You'll be able to just click on the link and go to this platform. But Social Blade is a great little resource for checking growth trends, seeing what's viral, stuff like that. And this would be, again, another use case, or it would be another way to validate a concept. And then research affiliate programs and then find the 5 top in your niche. And if you can check off these, like, yep, I found me on YouTube and, there was a lot of content there with 100,000 plus views on it, or the comments were amazing. All the back end kind of research that you do, if you feel like there's a need, you're validating the concept. And I highly recommend, if you've got, checks in all these boxes, then you're probably onto a winner. So I also want to recommend that you don't overthink it. Going back to the green lights, if you have 4 or 5 box checks, I think it's a go. If it's 2 or 3, you might want to refine it, check again. But if there's only one box, like, that's not probably going to be the best faceless content idea that you've ever had. Although, you never know. But I do believe in research. I do believe you can validate your concepts before you spend a lot of time creating content. So that would be my recommendation. And then the 3 Ps framework. So once you've said, okay, 5 incredible niches we've talked about, but there's more, by the way. And choosing the right one for you. Are you passionate about that topic? Can you talk about this topic, or can you research this topic? If it's something brand new to you, but you're like, I would like to do this. This would be super cool. Does the niche have proven monetization potential? All the ones that I've shared absolutely do. And then proficiency. Do you have knowledge, or can you learn enough to provide value? The short answer to that is absolutely. You can do anything you want to. And again, with AI today, you can literally learn and teach almost simultaneously. It's a fascinating place that we find ourselves in. The ability to harness knowledge has never been richer than it is today. It's just some days I get so excited about it, and then some days it's a little bit overwhelming. But the reality is you can absolutely monetize something that you don't even know a lot about, which is, again, in the past, I would have said, yeah, you can't do that. You gotta know your stuff, but today, so many other options for us. But my recommendation is start smart. Stay with the niche that excites you the most. Give it 20 to 30 videos over maybe like a 33-month window or 90-day window. And if it's not working, you don't have to stick with it. But the reality is always true. The riches are in the niches. So don't try to be everything to everyone. Pick one niche, dominate it, then expand out. I mean, I have seen people, Rhonda was giving us an example earlier, and I thought it was such a sweet example. And I would be like, oh, that is so cute. It was cute. It was a cute idea, but I mean, just because I love dogs, I would be like, yeah, that's a good idea. I would love to do something like this. But it was basically a golden retriever and maybe a pug or something, another dog, and they were having a paw podcast. So a play on the word paw and the podcast smash. And they were, just doing a small podcast where they were making fun of, other dogs or other humans or humans or behaviors or all kinds of things. Really, it was a combination of humor and just getting people's eye, catching their eye with content that is amazing because everybody looks at dogs and cats online, right? So super smart model for sure. My point is, you don't necessarily have to stick to just what you think you know. You can be totally creative. And we'll talk about avatars more in a little bit. So hang in there with me. The reality, though, is you have 3 seconds to stop the scroll. The average attention span is less than a goldfish, and I would say it is getting worse instead of better. So the first 3 seconds determine if they're going to watch or they're going to swipe on by you. And, if you don't have a face for them to connect with, then you need a super strong hook. So here's some examples of hooks that work. Things like, the $500 mistake that 73% of, content creators make every single day, right? You fill in the blank with your audience. Or a pattern interrupt. Stop doing blank, seriously, right now. So if they're doing that, they're going to be like, what is she saying? Or what is he saying? And then shocking stats almost always work. So after analyzing, 10,000 content creators, I found something shocking. You can fill in the blank, obviously, on your avatar. But here's the script structure that converts. And again, don't stress over writing this down because I have built this into the GPT that I've created for you. But basically, there's going to be a hook. You have to catch people's attention like immediately. And then there's a bridge. You have to tell them, okay, here's the hook, here's why it matters. And then you have some sort of an authority statement like, hey, I've been building or I've been helping, or I've, served this many, or, something super quick. And then a value delivery. This is where the core of the content is. So this could be your 3 tips or 3 strategies or whatever it is. And then if is social proof, you could give a quick success story. And then always, 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 did I say that? Always use a call to action in the last few seconds. So faceless content creation tools that I personally recommend. Hey, Jen, and we're going to go through these. And I'm going to show them to you, and I'm going to share the ones that I think are appropriate for specific use cases, depending on what you ultimately want to do with them. And I have already created some content because one, if we do this live in real time, it takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to show you a few examples that I've already created. But I'm also going to walk you through the process so that you have both sides of the equation so that you can do this for yourselves. But hey, Jen, in video bites, and there's use cases underneath for what they're really good for. But again, I don't want to dig into this too awful much, but you can certainly come back and look at some of the use cases or what their specialty is. And I'll probably honestly articulate most of it as we're going through the content today. One of the other things that you'll find that is built into the GPT that I'm going to give you, and basically a GPT, for those of you who, most of you have been with me for a long time, you've probably noticed over the past few months that I've been building GPTs, custom GPTs, to go along with the workshops. Now, just to kind of give you a frame of reference, these GPTs, I have clients that are literally paying thousands for these. We have some clients that want different things, their GPTs to be customized for different things. For the ones that I've been building for the insiders, they're also very specific, meaning they are designed to do something specific. Like, for example, this month's GPT is designed to help you create faceless video scripts. That's its purpose. But a lot of knowledge goes into these GPTs. So they are basically a pre-built bot that has a role. And you have to educate it. In this particular case, when I say you, I have already educated it. So it has a knowledge base to pull from. And one of those knowledge bases is, the kind of the rules or the algorithm, how the algorithm reacts for the specific platforms, so that when is the best time potentially to publish, what kind of content should you publish. But always, this is, I think, an amazing opportunity when it comes to short form content, is that you can publish it in all the places. So YouTube is kind of your authority platform. It's not just any platform. It's kind of a foundational pillar. It is great for all kinds of content, long, short form content. Most people would recommend that an 8 to 15 minute video is perfect. But I think the reality is you could create faceless content in that format and in that length, but you can also create short form content for YouTube and have it be just as effective. You've also got TikTok. It's great for viral reach, fast growth, young audiences. I sometimes believe that the young audience is a misnomer because, the stats show that the end users on TikTok have progressively gotten older. And I think that's another opportunity. In many cases, I think we subscribe to the fact that we think that they're all, teeny boppers over there or young adults, but it has absolutely gotten to a place where it's more well-rounded. But it's a great way to expose your faceless content to millions of people. And again, draw them in with engaging short form videos. Those short form videos can work on YouTube as well. Like I mentioned before, they can also work on Instagram and LinkedIn. So I think you need to plan forward for all the platforms so that you can get the most bang for your buck. Now, that said, if you're like, well, I'm only active on fill in the blank, LinkedIn, right? Then by all means, just go all in on LinkedIn. There is no rule that says you have to be in all the places. If you want to just like key in and say, I'm just going to create content for this one platform, you absolutely can do that. Do not feel obligated to have some sort of a robust multi platform plan. You can do whatever feels right for you and where your community is or where you're building community. But let's real quick talk about a 4-hour weekly system. Traditionally, content has been a bear, right? And the fact that you could create 20 pieces of content in 4 hours was unheard of. I mean, not happening. But basically what I want to share with you and give you the resources to do is to do just that, to create roughly 20 pieces of content or more in a 4-hour weekend. I'm sorry, a 4 hours a week, not a 4-hour weekend. So it is a system. It's, there's an hour of planning, a couple of hours of production, maybe 30 minutes of publishing time. And then, and again, you don't necessarily have to do these in the timeline that I'm sharing them, meaning, okay, if you get everything done on, Monday and Tuesday, and you want to start engaging on Wednesday through the rest of the week, okay, you can absolutely do that. But this is just kind of a guideline for how you get there. And I really want you to understand that the ability to create faceless content and to do 20 pieces of content, we would have been hard pressed to create our own face content, or I would call it face content instead of faceless content. It would have been very difficult especially in a 4-hour window, not happening. So this just, again, gives us a great opportunity to do content at scale and to do it well, without our hair and makeup being, in the mix. Now, I want to talk real quick about how content creators are actually making money with faceless content. There's also obviously the platform ad revenue, the CPM that I mentioned before. If that's just based off of views and, getting your content in front of others. There is affiliate marketing. If you're doing some sort of and we've all seen them. Have you seen the cooking videos where, you'll have somebody and all you'll see basically is their hands and they're walking people through how to cook XYZ. So if they're making a cake, the spatulas they're using, or, the mixer, or, fill in the blank on the things, they can obviously leverage those as an affiliate by simply sharing the links to those things and getting a kickback from the brands that are selling them. The sponsored content is another huge opportunity. Once you build a community, there's going to be a lot of people who want to get in front of your community. So the concept of a sponsored post or creating content that is specific to that brand's product or service, these opportunities are going to come in your way. It's a fascinating thing that just simply, I don't know how they find you, but they do. If you have digital products, you can sell digital products, or coaching and consulting. These start to get into a little higher revenue streams, memberships, speaking, and workshops. These are all great ways for you to monetize your faceless channels. Let's talk about a path to a 10K month, because when you're trying to build a six-figure business, you really need between on average $8,000 to $10,000 a month. And $10,000 a month is kind of like the magic number for a lot of entrepreneurs, because it's the number that gives people enough revenue to support a family, in the normal course of things, even though things are getting a little crazy price-wise these days. And it also gives you enough to, cover your business expenses. So that's kind of the reason I chose that number. But phase one is kind of the foundation, starting to build an audience. Phase two is, introducing digital products and maybe some sponsorships. And phase three, and again, take a look at these timelines. They're not ridiculous. I mean, by phase three, you're going to start to scale up. That's about, month 7, adding coaching and speaking and partnerships. And then, a year to 2, you've got amazing authority. You can add some premium products, a team, maybe license your content. All kinds of things start to happen at that point. But a couple of things I want you to start working on today is, now keep in mind that you can do all this in like one day. You can break it into weekly tasks. I've kind of got them broken into weekly and daily tasks. But the reality is, if you see the vision for this, you can move very quickly. So the foundational stuff is, okay, what's my niche? Set up some sort of a tool of a choice. Are you going to use HeyGen or one of the others that we're going to talk about today? Write your first 5 scripts using the GPT that I'm going to provide for you. Maybe if you don't already have a channel, you're going to want to design that. Week 2 or day 2, whichever suits, is get your first 5 videos created, design some thumbnail templates, set up some analytics tracking. Honestly, most of the time, these platforms will have your analytics, so you'll be able to just simply go in and see. And then week 3, publish those first 5 videos, set up monetization links, engage with every comment. Yes, I know that's a little tedious, but this will be super important on the front side of sharing a new style of content. And then you always have to look, like, if you don't measure something, how are you going to know if it's working? So you definitely want to optimize it. So see what's working, create your next batch of content, and, iterate off of that first week if you need to. It may take you a couple of weeks to kind of get the lay of the land and see, what's working and what's not. But then plan your month 2 and just keep after it. It's consistency. And then don't do what everyone else does. Like, I think a lot of faceless content needs different strategies. So what works for Mr. Beast, for example, might not work for you. Inconsistent posting. I've said it before. I just said it. Consistency. So don't even start if you don't plan to be consistent. And then don't ignore what the data tells you. If you don't measure something, like I said a minute ago, you're not going to know whether it's working or not. And nothing is going to be perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect. Throw it out there. I have seen some of the most interesting stuff ever. I'll give you an example. I was watching a video today that Gary Vaynerchuk had on his channel. It was definitely done with a tool, an AI tool of some sort, and it was pretty low quality, I thought, for him. Now that said, he's got all kinds of content like this, and it is absolutely rocking it. Why? Because it wasn't about what it looked like. It wasn't about what it looked like. I'm going to say it one more time. It wasn't about what it looked like. What he was saying and the value he was bringing was what it was all about. So don't worry about perfection. And then don't worry about just focusing on views. Your engagement and conversion metrics are also going to be super powerful. And then, I know I said this before, platform, if you build on one platform, you can do that. You absolutely can. But it does create a little bit of a risk. Quick sip. One of the reasons that, I suggested a multi-platform approach is because it gives you some diversity. You have kind of a way of gauging different audiences and attracting different audiences as well. But don't get so focused on it that you don't do anything. I would rather see you go with one platform than do no platforms, or try to do them all and struggle to make them all work for you. So start with one or two, and then you can always bump up. If you feel like you can do them all, then do them all. But the secret weapon that I'm excited to share with you today is the Faceless Script Master GPT. It is a custom AI trained bot that I've made specifically for you guys. It's built from proven frameworks for faceless video scripts. I've given it a ton of knowledge, like things like, examples of faceless content that has just like skyrocketed. It has got so many amazing things built into it that I think will be super powerful for you. It does write complete video scripts. It will adapt to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or LinkedIn. It does use psychology to drive engagement and sales. It's going to match the tone of the niche of your choice, and honestly, so much more. It's really got a lot of amazing goodness in it that I think will come out when you start using it. But basically, it's a very simple thing, and I'm going to open it up here in just a minute. You can either use the pre-built conversation starters, or you can simply use a simple prompt like write me a complete 60-second or 30-second or whatever, an 8-minute video, depending on how big you want it, for the niche of your choice that I can paste into my AI avatar tool. So it gives you a ready-to-use, high-converting script in under 60 seconds or less, because we're talking about AI here, right? And if you were to sit down and try to write this content, it would take you so much time. And that's why most of us just give up, because we don't even know what to say in most cases. It's like, okay, I know I need to create this content, but like, I don't know what to say. What am I going to say? And this will keep you from ever having to worry about what you're going to say, essentially. So a couple of things will go wrong. Absolutely. If you throw things out there, and you've got low views or impressions, then test some things like, see, maybe change up your hooks, or, maybe it's a thumbnail issue. If you've got people dropping off in the first 10 seconds, that might be a hook issue, strengthen your hooks and, remove any like extraneous stuff on the front side. If you've got good views but no conversions, then move your CTA up, make it a little more specific, or, add some urgency to it. And then, honestly, if you can't think of any content ideas, I promise the custom GPT is going to be there for you. My hope is, so often when it comes to content, is we just feel overwhelmed. So reduce your posting frequency if you need to. Just don't not do anything, because again, consistency, right? But batch create. And if you ultimately need to hire someone as you build out your channels, you can do that. But I feel like that the ability to use the GPT and the AI tools today give us an opportunity, together with a 4-hour window, to do amazing things without having to hire someone to do the thing for us, which is awesome. But here's some real stories. I mean, Sarah started a Faceless productivity channel. About 6 months, she had 50K subscribers and about 8K in revenue a month. Marcus, started a true crime faceless channel. 9 months in, 120K subscribers. He's at about 12K a month. Jessica, business case studies, 4 months in, 28,000 subscribers, 5K a month. So this works, guys. These were people who started with 0 followers. They were all camera shy, and now they're all full-time doing their own thing and trying to build that monthly revenue up to, more than what it is now. So I want to say this. I always feel like a lot of times I build all the content and I put it out there and I tell people they can do it. But the reality is you have to self-reflect a little bit here. If you're willing to show up consistently for at least, 6 to 12 months, because it takes time for content to really get traction, then this is for you. If you value systems over personality, this is for you. If you're coachable and will follow the framework, absolutely for you. And you want to build something that lasts and you're okay with starting before you're ready. I think these qualify you if you're like, yes, 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 yes. If you are somebody who wants overnight success, then this isn't for you. If you're not willing to learn, if you give up after 2 or 3 videos, don't get any engagement. It's like crickets out there. You need instant gratification that says, oh my gosh, this content is amazing. Or if you're looking for a magic button, that means this is not for you. This does work, but you have to work it. It's like any strategy. If I teach somebody a strategy and they just sit on it, then that's going to be where it sits. It's not going to go anywhere. But using this strategy does work. There's like so many proven use cases and case studies around it. But you do have to do the work. I've made it as easy as I can, but you still have to do the work. But I love this. I love that faceless content wins when the value is so compelling that the missing face becomes irrelevant. And your script should make viewers think, hey, I don't care what they look like. I don't even need to see them. I just need to know what they're telling me. That's the end goal here. But remember, you don't need to be on camera to build authority. That's a new one, right? Systems beat personality at scale, and privacy is a luxury that you can now afford, and your value matters more than your face. Yahoo, right? And the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today, now. So we're going to go create content that converts. I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to pull up the GPT. I'm going to walk you through that real quick. And give me just 2 shakes. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go into this. Okay. So right now you can see I have this Faceless Script Master pulled up. You can see all of the everything on the screen here. There's a few like getting started prompts here. The reality is all you really have to do is write me a complete blah, 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 and it could be as simple as just giving it this basic instruction. Now, like I said, I had done this already, so I wanted to kind of give you this so that you can see the output. Let me get back up here. So generate a complete script for, business productivity niche. I'm going to scroll down until we get to the final product here. It gave me a lot of as you can see here, it gives me the timing on it. And I wanted to make sure that I just got to the place where, hey, I just need the script so I can cut and paste it. Sometimes it will do this just to kind of give you, let me share this tab instead. I forgot to move the screen over. So sometimes it will give you just the script, and sometimes you have to prompt it. Sometimes ChatGPT loses its way a little bit. But here is the output. So you're wasting 7 hours every week on tasks that AI can finish in minutes. Here's how to reclaim them. Anyway, so here is the hook, right? So if I'm scrolling through, Instagram and I see this, you're wasting 7 hours every week on tasks that AI can finish in minutes. What? Yeah, I want to know what those are. And so that's kind of my hook. And then of course there's, this is the authority builder here. This is the content piece. And then here's the social proof. And, here's my CTA. So you can see that this follows the exact framework that I have shared in the workbook. And it is, like I said, already built into the GPT. So what I've done is I've created a script. I could continue to create scripts if I wanted to, hey, give me another productivity tip, or for purposes of us just going through the process of this, I'm going to take you into HeyGen. Let me share my screen there. Now, I wanted to share. I think what I will do before I share this. Let me pull up another screen here for the HeyGen because I feel like I need to walk you through the process first, and then let's see, and then I'll show you the actual video. All right, so I'm already logged into my HeyGen account. If you don't have a HeyGen account, you can go to HeyGen. In fact, we'll just drop the link in so that you can just simply go there. And in the sidebar, once you're logged in, you'll see that it's got several options here. They have this new video agent. It is in a beta. It's right now. But it allows you to do some pretty amazing things. It allows you to transform any idea into a compelling video. And it's got some, various use cases here, or examples, if you will. And by the way, all of these people are avatars. They are not real. But if you were to look at any one of these, you would see that it actually is pretty clever. So I'm going to open up one here, and hopefully you can hear the audio.
Okay, Chobani lovers, I have a secret. You know we love our Chobani, especially with a good deal. Guess what? There's a special discount happening now. So stock up on your favorites.
Hopefully you've seen enough to see that, it looked pretty realistic, right? She didn't look like, an avatar, a made-up avatar. So you can use an avatar in the platform if you are starting from a place of scratch and you would like to pick somebody that is, in alignment with you. Like, for example, let's say, you're going to start a gardening channel. Maybe you want to, and you're of a certain age and you want to attract people to you that are more your demographic. Maybe you would use, somebody that's a little bit older. So here's an example of one. There's several different there's several different examples here. I would encourage you to go through these and just take a look at them. But basically what I did is I copied and pasted my, in fact, let me just grab my original, because I want to make sure that I'm doing this just as I did this, so you guys can see exactly the same thing. Now, there's two things that I want you to know here. When you go through and leverage the power of HeyGen, you don't necessarily have to paste your script in. It will create scripts for you. In my case, though, I really wanted it to kind of follow along with my prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my prompt. I'm sorry, my script, so that it follows my script. And here we've got auto. You can choose, you can leave it on auto, or you can choose, do you want it to be 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? It'll only create content up to 3 minutes. So you can't use this particular tool for content that's more than a 3-minute timeline. But I just left mine on auto. If I wanted to choose from assets, like if I wanted to upload something to give it some context, I could do that. And then you can choose the size that you want it. Do you want it to be a portrait, meaning, like an Instagram reel, or do you want it to be landscape, more like a YouTube video? In this case, I'm just going to leave it portrait, and I'm going to go ahead and hit this. Now, this is where it starts to ask you a few questions. So it'll say defining some video parameters, and you can see here on the screen, it's like thinking, right? And it goes through all of these different things. It starts, hey, reclaiming time with AI tools. That's kind of the topic. The audience, it identifies the audience. It gives you some a music choice, roughly 60 seconds, the size, English, no avatar, voiceover only, and then professional male voice. Well, what if I don't want it to be a male voice? I would like it to be a female voice. And it says, how does this sound? If you're happy with this plan, let's type proceed to continue. Let's change the voice to a female. All right. Again, you can change whatever, but now's the time to give it some instruction. And once you do that, it will, of course, change that. It goes through the process again. And then once you're happy with the kind of the pieces and parts, all you have to do is type proceed. And now, of course, you don't have to capitalize it. I just had my all caps on at that point. And it will start to break it down for you. And I'm going to give us just a minute, and then I'm going to roll over and show you the output. So it's going through the process, but so that we don't have to wait on that, let me just share this screen, and then I'm going to open up the video, and I'm going to show you what the video looks like after it's been completed. And let me just go here.
You're wasting 7 hours every week on tasks AI can finish in minutes. That's almost an entire workday gone. And if you're still stuck in manual workflows,
now you can see it's pretty well done. If I don't, and you can see all of the, different things on the side here. If I want to edit anything, like once it's done rendering, and if I want to edit, all I have to do is click edit. And it gives me over to the side here. I can edit the script if I don't, hey, I didn't like the way that sounded, or fill in the blank, right? If I don't want an avatar, I have no avatar here. But if I wanted to add one, let's just say I wanted to add one, you could click on this and you can choose an avatar. You can actually upload your own image here if you wanted to do that too. So if you wanted, you could upload. Now there's a very small selection in here right now, but if you had an image of yourself, you could upload an image of yourself. For purposes of just keeping this as a, I'll call it a faceless video, which is what we're here to learn. But keep in mind that you could choose your own avatar, meaning you could still be, I'll call it, anonymous, and choose, an avatar that actually is representing the content for the channel that you want to create. Now, you can choose a voice, any voice that you want. I just happen to have my own voice in here, so I did use my voice, but you can choose, there's all kinds of voices, female and male in here. If you want to choose the voice of your channel, you can just select that by simply clicking on the little button there, and you can choose listen by just simply listening to them.
Hey there, here's how I sound. Hope you like it.
So there's, that. And like I said, in this particular instance, I just used my own voice because I had already had it pre-programmed in. They have selected some music here, but what if I don't like that? And I wanted to put some, a different choice in here. I can go in and choose my own music. And the same with your media files. If you would like to refresh, like, hey, I don't really like this video file. I'm sorry, this image. I would like a different one. I can click the refresh button and I can go search for it, or I can look for a video clip. So if I wanted a video clip instead of an image, and then you just do some searching until you find what makes sense and that you like. So that's how you could change the content pieces inside of the video itself. And then the captions, they have all kinds of caption options here. Bring your story to life. Again, this is just the way it would look essentially. I think I've got one of these up here chose, but you can choose your captions. If you wanted to go a little bit deeper, you would go into the Generate in Studio, and I'm going to do that, open that up in just a minute, or you could simply click on the Generate button. If you feel like you've got it to a place where you've made all the edits that you want to make and you're happy, you can just hit Generate and it will generate the video again, with any edits that you have created. Like I said, if you want to go a little deeper, you click on Edit in Studio, which is right down at the bottom. And this will open it up in the full studio, and it will allow you to, see all of the components. So each is down here. You can go into each scene and, like, for example, if I wanted to change this element, I could AI edit it, I could animate it, I could change it out by simply looking in the elements section or the media section. So you can literally choose the components and edit it like more, I'll call this more like a video editor look. And this, of course, the script is over here to the side. Each scene is associated. So as you can see, down here is scene 1, and over here to match is the script for scene 1. So it's super easy for you to find the pieces and parts of the video and edit them if you want a little more robust options. Okay, so that is the HeyGen version. I'm going to just put it out there. I feel like the HeyGen tool is probably going to create one of the better options as it relates to creating faceless content. And it gives you that additional added option of adding an avatar of choice if you so choose to do so. So it does allow you to create faceless content, pure and simple, just like I shared this one with you. There's no physical face in this piece of content. And then the next piece of that would be, hey, I'm going to choose a face. I want to have a face to my new channel. I just don't want it to be mine. So technically that's also faceless content, your lack of face more specifically, but you can do that. Now I'm gonna go over to let me open up InVideo and walk you through how to use InVideo. And then I'm going to quickly show you let me share this tab. So InVideo it gives you the ability to do basically the same thing, create video content without any, what's the word I'm looking for? Without basically a face, one. And it does all kinds of video content. So in this particular use case, I'm going to just share the faceless content with you, but you could use it for a variety of different things. It looks like it might have logged me out. So I don't want to, because you have to get a code to log you back in. So I think what I'm going to do, since you've already seen the use case for this, or the script, essentially, the concept is the same. You would log into InVideo, you would paste in your script. It would give you some choices, things that you could choose, like the voice and the background music and things of that nature. So it's very similar to HeyGen in that respect. But in this particular example, I basically used the same exact script that I used in HeyGen, except I got a totally different output. So I'm going to play a few seconds of the video so that you can see the difference.
You're wasting 7 hours every week on tasks AI can finish in minutes. Here's how to reclaim them. That's almost an entire workday gone. And if you're still stuck in manual workflows, your competitors are already ahead. I run a faceless business generating over $40K a month. I've tested dozens of AI tools. Most are hype, but a few actually work. First, Motion. It's an AI calendar that schedules your
So you can kind of get a feel for this. So a few things that I want to show that I think are a differentiator and do make it a little more robust than HeyGen is the ability to transfer, or as you can see, they had a lot of clips in here, right? And they do all the generation of that. So it makes that seamless scene to scene to scene to scene happen, very quickly. With HeyGen, it's a little slower. It's not as much content. It's not as much shifting from scene to scene to scene. So there's a little bit more of a polished video look, but there's also different things in here that it doesn't do quite as good a job with. It doesn't do quite as good a job like the captions, for example, are a little not as flashy. There's not as many ways that you can change that up. So I encourage you to play with both of these tools because they both have value and they both have application. And in video in particular, can do a lot of other things too. Well, technically both of them can, but from a faceless video perspective, I would approach both through the lens of, hey, let's just give it a go and try a couple of scripts and see what each does, and then make a decision. Which one do I like best? Which one feels a little more user friendly? I probably use HeyGen way more than I use in video. That's just me. But I've also done a lot of avatar content. So it's just, I've learned to use the tool, and it's very quick and easy for me to do it. But when you first get started, I think filling out the tools, filling out which one feels better for you, which one is easiest for you to use. And I highly recommend that you do that and just find your way with which one makes the most sense for you. Now, the last tool of choice that I want to share with you is a tool called Video Bytes. Now, I went into, I have all of these listed in the workbook, as well as like some costs associated with them. They're not super expensive tools, but again, if you're not using them, then why spend money on them? And can you use them for free just to try? Yes. So I highly recommend that you use them for free to give them a go first. And again, just fill out what makes sense. So in this particular example, I've got a variety of, I've used the exact same script that I used in the other two platforms. This one is a little, this is one of those ones where I kind of mentioned before that Gary Vee had a piece of content that looked kind of like this, where not everything was perfect, but it doesn't matter. So let me just share it real quick with you, and I'll let you judge to see what you think.
You're wasting 7 hours every week on tasks AI can finish in minutes. Here's how to reclaim them. That's almost an entire workday gone. And if you're still stuck in manual workflows, your competitors are already ahead. I run a faceless business generating over $40K a month. I've tested dozens of AI tools. Most are hype, but a few actually work.
So
First,
see, this is just a
motion.
different look. It's again very easy. There's a scripted video in the over here where you can either decide what your script is about, or you can just paste your script in. I just pasted my script in, and I said generate. You can either say generate script. Actually, let me. I just canceled out of that. So let me go through this again. So it says script to video, and there's a generate script with AI, or you can just put in your, like I said, your script and select your language, English, and you can choose your voice of choice. So you can simply by just clicking on
Transform your words into captivating videos with Video Bytes.
You can choose your
Save
voice.
time.
There's not a lot of choice, but there is some. And you can also choose ultra realistic or low cost. Since I've not paid for this tool yet, I'm just using the free version. I've just limited myself to those free options. You can use stock images, videos, all images. You can select an image genre like auto, realistic, anime. I've been using realistic. And then here's the caption titles. So you can see, or the templates, I'm sorry, you can see that they are a little more robust than in video, at least at this point. There's also background music. You can add your own custom music, and you can try this out. I think this particular account comes with 2 credits. So I was able to create 2 versions of my video, and I would definitely encourage you to do the same. Check it out and make sure that it, that you like it, that it feels good, that you feel like the ease of using it is spot on. And that kind of wraps up everything. I know that this has been a lot. And I'm going to stop sharing real quick and just go full screen and just remind everyone that there's all these workshops come with a lot of knowledge and a lot of back-end research. And specifically now that we're doing the GPTs, providing those to you, those do take an inordinate amount of time to build and customize for you. So leverage them, use them, and get great results from them. And I'm excited to see what you do, whether you embrace the concept of a faceless channel. Maybe it's something brand new to you. Maybe it's like, hey, I've been wanting to do this, but now that I can do it without anybody knowing it's me, I'm going to do it. Or, maybe I just would like to be able to create content at scale and, just share my expertise. Totally okay. You can do that too. But I encourage you to do something. Get started and use what you've learned today to create some amazing content that converts. We'll see you next month. Take care, stay safe, and God bless. All right. I'm hitting end stream, but there we go.